Facebook. See if we can get anybody on today, or tonight rather. What's going on? I can't tell if anybody's posting anything right now. I'm doing this from my phone, and typically I have my computer up, but that's not the case today. What's up, Russia? How you doing? So it almost happened. We almost went a complete week without having a live video broadcast. So I told Kevin I would hold it down and make sure I went on tonight. Plus, I wasn't sure. What's up, Kimba? I wasn't sure how this would hold up. I'm using my my cellular service as opposed to my Wi-Fi because I'm not at the house. So I wasn't sure if this will work quite well, but the show must go on. So anyway, I just wanted to get on here, talk to you guys, just to say what's up, see how everybody's doing this weekend, see what's been going on with everyone. I won't be on here too long. Again, it's just one of those things. Make sure I'm committed. Hey, what's up, Kimba? Actually, you're just catching me. My man Kevin can't come on tonight. He's also having Wi-Fi issues as well. So I don't even know if I'm streaming correctly or not, because phones don't really give too much feedback. So anyway, it's just me. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't go a week without being on. I think we've been continuous for the past year without missing a week. I know we probably missed a few days, but I don't recall that we've missed a week, maybe once or twice. I know when I was traveling. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I got on here tonight. Just let you guys know that we are planning some shows for this upcoming week. We have some things that we're working on in the background. It's a conspiracy? Nah, no conspiracy. No conspiracy. I've been painting, actually. So I've been doing a lot of analog stuff, what I normally don't do. And so I've been away. If anything, it's been my fault. I've been away from Wi-Fi, not really sitting at my desk like I typically am. So that's really what's going on for real. So I told Kev I would make sure I got on tonight because he wasn't able to, just to make sure that it's a commitment thing for my sake and for our sake, the Two Shy Guys. So like I said, the show must go on, even when it's not ideal. So that's really why I'm on here. And plus, I just wanted to see if anybody else was even up. I know Saturday night is not a good necessarily a live stream night unless you got like music or something like that, which I don't have. But again, I just wanted to make sure that I just held up my end of the bargain and just came to say what's up to everybody. So if nobody's saying anything or anything's going on, then I probably won't be on here too much longer. I know you don't want to just look at me with the white wall background. Like I said, I've been painting this week. And it's my first time ever doing it, painting the house, getting it ready. But everything went well, so I'm satisfied. My wife is satisfied, so that's what matters. But anyway, if nobody has anything else to say or anything to say at all, I actually just finished watching the video you shared about brain health. Oh, good. What did you think about it? I had my wife watch it not too long ago as well, just to see what her thoughts on it. I thought it was pretty fascinating myself. There were some things that were said that I don't know if people give enough credence to, especially when it comes to sports. I know we got a lot of football fans. Maybe some people are protesting the NFL, but even with college football, the national championships and everything that went on, one of the things that nobody really brings up anymore is concussions. Even though the brain health video didn't talk about concussions, but it did talk about brain injuries and how impact sports affect brain injuries. Even with mixed martial arts and fighting, actually, statistically, boxing is worse. It's probably one of the worst sports because everything happens to your head. Mixed martial arts, the only reason why it's not as damaging as boxing is because you have other means to submit somebody or stop a fight. But truthfully, that stuff is pretty. I mean, it's martial arts, meaning art of war. So when you think about combat or any impact sport that affects the head, you have potential for brain injuries, and not only that, but you have micro injuries and things that accumulate over years. So especially when you talk about concussions and things like that. So definitely, it's a great video to watch. And he talks about how to sustain brain health, things that you can do to sustain brain health, things that we normally do that pretty much damages our brain health. He talks about the shrinking of the brain, the foods we eat, and those kinds of things. So when I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, I'll just check out the video. But when I started listening to what the guy was saying, it was very, very fascinating. It was Dr. Daniel Amen. What's up, Rachel? How you doing? So yeah, I wanted my wife to watch it actually so I could watch it again myself, Kimba. I've been watching a lot of videos this past week, just researching a lot of different things. I had a lot of different things on my mind this week. So I've been researching brain activity. I've been researching beliefs. What's up, Rachel? Yeah, it's been rare since we've been on, so I said I was going to come on. He said the heavier you are, the smaller your brain. Yeah, because your brain actually shrinks, which is something that I never even knew. Again, it was very, very fascinating information. I could see people probably watch it and be like, nah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But he's like literally like one of the leading brain researchers. The guy said he's done over 100,000 brain scans himself, which is ridiculously crazy when you think about it. But the information was like I said, it was very eye-opening for me. It made me think about even my own diet. It made me think about the diet of my children. It made me think about the activities of our household, especially when he was talking about blue screens, especially me being someone that sits in front of a computer quite often. One of the things that I said I was going to do this year is be more analog, meaning being away from the computer more often than I have been in the past. On the one hand, I have been the past month. I've been probably away from my computer more than I've ever been over the past 7 years. I don't like it, but I do, right? I know that for me, sitting at a computer means that I get a lot of work done, but being off the computer made me do work in a different way. So I kind of have appreciated it, the fact that I've not been on the computer as much the past month because of the move and all the stuff we're doing with the house. But it has opened my eyes in terms of, okay, even though it doesn't feel natural for me, I love digital space because I can control it. It's neat, it's decluttered. But one of the things about it is I've actually connected with more people since I've been off the computer in face-to-face. Not necessarily, I talk to a lot of people online. I like, conversing with people all the time. But I've actually had more face-to-face time with people. I've had more face-to-face time with my family, my wife, and my kids. So I have appreciated that aspect of it. And that's something that I plan on doing more of. I want to be more regimented in how I do things. You said the blue light glasses. Yeah, definitely use those. He talked about it again in the video, the blue lights, especially when you're talking about sleep. I know blue lights affect sleep. I've watched documentaries on how lighting affects sleep and how you should light your house at certain times of the night. Right now, my lights are bright in here because, of course, I'm online and I can't have it dimmed down. But typically, you want to start dimming the lights as time gets later in the day, just to keep your circadian rhythm up. One of the things, for example, when I was in an accelerator, business accelerator in California, they had lights on like bright 24/7. And one of the things that did, it was almost similar to a casino, right? So we worked like all hours of the night, and it was crazy because when we worked in there, we couldn't really tell what time it was outside. Of course, we could look at the time on our computers, but it was always the same light, and that kind of affects you after a while in terms of being under the same light 24/7. It's crazy because there would be times where we would literally be up almost 24 hours. So definitely getting the lighting right in your household at certain times is good for you. It's good for your sleep rhythm. It's good for your sleep habits. So that's something that you should definitely think about if you're not currently doing it. See, Rachel said it's a trade-off. I'm trying to push my life into being a digital nomad, earning purpose, but that requires me to be online more. Yeah, it's definitely a trade-off. But again, the benefit of if you're going to be a digital nomad, that means you're going to be around people. You're going to be out and about. So make sure you take some time to be analog. I call it being analog just because I always call everything digital. So it's definitely well worth it because, again, at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most in this world is not money. It's not, the things we do online. It's actually people. So if you spend the majority of your time not being around people or being a hermit in real life, not talking about the digital life, it doesn't add the fulfillment that you really need. At least not for me. So I can only speak for myself. What's up, Graham? How you doing, bro? Said Jim Quick is an awesome resource for brain research as well. Yeah, Jim Quick is pretty good. There's actually like a group of guys that my wife and I have been listening to over this past week or so. And what I've noticed is that like a lot of the people that we've been looking at, one of the things that's common, even with the brain research guy, what they talk about a lot is belief. I know we talk a lot about that on Two Shy Guys, like how you believe, what you think, your reasons why, and those kinds of things. So they really drill down on those, and really, they just talk about life purpose and how to be better, more efficient, just how to have a higher quality of life. And what's funny is I've noticed that, different people have different views on what quality of life is. I've been telling my wife about, different things that I've observed over the past few weeks in terms of the circles that I've been in, the people I've been talking to. Just not everybody sees life the same way. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just that people view life very differently. And which actually, makes me think in terms of relationships, even like with the presidential stuff, race relations and all of those. One thing that I realize is that sometimes ignorance is really a bigger problem, and I mean it from the standpoint of ignorance in terms of not knowing, right? Because unless something comes across your radar, unless you're privy to the information of what people are going through, then you're literally ignorant to what they may be feeling, the struggles that they go through. Like, for example, the government shutdown. I know this big, I'm not even going to talk politics, but one of the things, I've been seeing with the past few days or whatever is people talking about, government workers not working. Well, for some people, that's a harsh reality, right? But it's almost like the Flint water crisis. It only affects a certain amount of people, and others are literally oblivious to it, right? It doesn't even cross their mind. It doesn't even enter their head that there are people right now who are working for no money. They may get money later, but bill collectors don't give a crap about when you get your money as long as you pay your bill on time. So if you don't pay your bill on time, then they don't care about a shutdown or anything else. So you're going to run into issues there. But I've noticed that depending on what your lifestyle is or your background is or where you're from, each one of us, we have different, cultures within our households. And so that means that we've been raised different. Things that are a concern for me may not be a concern for you. And so it's not that people are being insensitive, it's that sometimes they literally just do not know. Real quick example of that, my friend Ross Taylor, shout out to Ross if you ever see this. He mentioned, he said, it shouldn't take having a daughter to understand, that women should be treated like women or treated with respect. It's like saying that, you can't treat black people with respect unless you have a black friend. And I was like, I agree with what you're saying. I agree wholeheartedly. However, until I had daughters, until I had a wife, because, I grew up with a mother, but I don't look at my mother the same way I look at every other female because, of course, when you're growing up, sometimes you don't even want to listen to your moms. So anyway, but what I was saying is that, having a wife, having daughters makes you more sensitive to the issues that they face, right? So, because I remember my wife and I used to talk about this. Well, I was like, I didn't grow up around a lot of females. It was always boys. Like, our family is boy heavy. Like, all my cousins, with the exception of like maybe 3 or 4, are all dudes. We got like 4 girl cousins, and so I didn't grow up around a lot of females when I was younger. So I didn't know what like little girls. That just wasn't part of my radar because all of my female cousins, with the exception of a few, like maybe 2, are younger than me. So the other 2 are older. So it's not like I grew up with younger female friends or cousins or anything like that. So there were things that I was insensitive to. And so having people, having a wife, having daughters, I got to see things that I never was privy to beforehand. So it does kind of matter in terms of proximity, the people that you're around, cultural sensitivity. If you don't have that exposure, then it's not that you're being insensitive. It's sometimes literally just ignorant. So if we can understand that with people and not be so angry all the time, then we could communicate a lot better, and and we could get along a lot better. And the reason why I'm saying all of this, because if you watch the video that I posted earlier, it ties directly into that, because he was talking about the polarization from television, from CNN, from Fox News, and all of those kinds of things. Those things will literally shorten your lifespan. I don't know if you realize it or not. Those things will literally shorten your lifespan because of your belief systems. It'll make you angry, and it just causes a whole lot of issues in your brain. So that's kind of why I brought that up. So I know I kind of rambled through that, but hey, there you go. Let's see. Oh, cool. Rachel says she just started listening to Jim Quick's podcast. She said, yep, behavior is supported by your belief system. If you don't believe something, you won't have the behavior associated with it. Yeah, and you won't continue in it. For example, I used to be a personal trainer. Kevin, he does personal training as well. And until you get people to buy into the concepts of, if you do this, then this will be your outcomes. If they don't believe that they can achieve this associated goal, then even if they pay for a membership, even if they pay for a trainer, they won't continue in it. So one of the things, like you said, you have to believe that it's possible for yourself. And based on, let's see, I was listening to John Assaraf earlier as well, and he was talking about that the previous notion, or the previous studies in science, whatever. I don't know where his reference is. He actually gave the reference. I just don't remember it offhand. I wasn't planning on talking about him. But anyway, he was saying, the previous model of establishing a behavior, the thought was about 21 days, like 2 to 3 weeks, right? He said, but actually, in order to change your belief system, it takes 60 to roughly up to a year, 60 days, roughly up to a year to change your belief system. So if you have some baked in belief system in terms of who you are, your outcomes based on your past history, then those things really determine your outcome without you knowing it. It's like subconscious, an autonomous system in your head, that kind of thing, where you don't even realize you're self-sabotaging yourself because you have these baked-in beliefs that may not be on the surface. So you could be doing yourself a disservice by not really unearthing that within your own mind. And that's something that I've been thinking about myself. I know I've talked about this in the past. Lamar and I, we've talked about it in separate venues online. But one of the things that we had to overcome ourselves because, you know, we've been business partners for, man, we've been business partners now 9 years. And prior to us being able to raise funds and raise money for our business, we always came close, but we didn't close the deal. And so those beliefs is like, man, it's like, okay, something's bad gonna happen, you know. And so we always constantly had to remind ourselves, literally, like getting rid of the self-doubt. We always had to constantly update our beliefs. It's like, okay, this is gonna be the time. This is gonna be the time. This is, you know, I'm not gonna self-sabotage, meaning that, you know, you always have that little voice in the back of your head, like this is not gonna work. And eventually, over time, the more you start fighting against, the more you start, you know, empowering yourself to believe otherwise, then eventually the voice was there, but it was really faint, right? And so for me, you know, one of the things that we just kept reiterating, which is why, you know, we had got the 212s at, for me, it was, you know, being fearless. We talk about being fearless a whole lot. Like networking and being fearless is part of being in business. And it's not, you know, to say that you're a tough guy or tough gal or whatever, but it's really just getting rid of the doubt, getting rid of the fears that you may have inside of the back of your head that it's almost pulling you back, especially if you've never had a certain amount of success. You know, it feels like it's just creeping, like, you know, it's like a movie, right? Like when you're watching a scary movie, you always expect something bad to go wrong, so you're always on, you know, on edge. But, you know, we had to get to the point to where we had to demolish that mindset to where no matter what it was, we were going to go and do what we were supposed to do, and constantly updating our beliefs, especially around execution. If you start a habit, this is a rule of thumb, at least for me, it's worked for me. The more history you have of succeeding, the more you believe that you will succeed. So if all you think about is your history of failures, then you'll probably fail because you'll think that that's a required pattern in your behavior. But if you start establishing some victories and start focusing on the victories that you've had, then it becomes easier to have another victory, and it just begins to build its own momentum. So start developing momentum in terms of victories, even if it's very small victories. Stand on that, stay on top of that. For example, this is why I'm on live right now. The victory for me in working on Two Shy Guys is to make sure that we go live regardless. So this is one of those things for me, just to make sure I have momentum, so I don't get too lax and not talking to people, because that's my default. So I make sure I push past what my default is, just so I can establish a pattern of victory, a pattern of behavior that makes me act against my given nature. But after a while, that nature is no longer part of me. So it may be, from Two Shy Guys, it just may be just Kevin and Leif, right? Because we've constantly established that, we're not gonna let our I guess past behavior dictate how we act in the present and in the future. So I hope that made sense to you guys. Rachel said, in the Hebraic train of thought, we teach that ignorance is not about intelligence, it's about the lack of light in an area. You can't see it, and therefore you can't see it to understand it, therefore you are ignorant. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. Sometimes we just, that's why you have to teach cultural sensitivity, because people aren't aware. And so you make them aware, you teach them, and then if they do something against it, then it's malicious. Said privileged life leads to unconscious biases. This is very true. And this is in all walks of life. So everybody has to be mindful of that. Because there are many, many privileges that we all have that we don't even think about on the surface, but subconsciously you see how it affects, like not even subconsciously, but if you take a step back and look at, how your own life, not even somebody, don't even focus on other people, but focus on your own life and how the biases in your own life reflect in how you treat people. And it may not necessarily be an overtly way how you treat people, but it trust me, it's there. I see, I got to go find the video that was posted. Cool. What's up, Jamie? How you doing? See, that was one of the sayings I've been mulling over that Jim Quick said. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Self-talk thoughts are so important. Yeah, it's very important. One of the things that, one of the guys that I really, really love, David Goggins. I know we did a book review on him. I've talked about him plenty in the past. So if you don't know who he is, David Goggins, he's a Marine, Ultra Forces type dude, Navy SEAL. He wasn't Marines, he was Navy SEAL, Armed Rangers, and something. He's like done something that like most people. I think he might have been the first man to go through all of these different trainings. But anyway, he runs like 150-mile races, so on and so forth. But one of the things he does, I was reading his book, that he talked about how he basically is real hard on himself. He'll cuss himself out in a sense, but he does it from the standpoint of, okay, I'm showing where my limitations are, but I'm not degrading myself from the standpoint of not moving forward. I'm showing myself my weaknesses so I can focus on overcoming those weaknesses. So for him, he's a little more brash in the way he approaches himself. But if you look at the kind of life and the kind of training that he's had, it makes perfect sense. But as for other people, the self-talk, meaning, and it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm the most beautiful person in the world, or just, happy, joy. It's not that. It's really the self-talk of, David Goggins is definitely rough on the ears. But really the self-talk is in terms of establishing a belief that you can do it. And not only that, the way that you truly establish that belief is going back to what I was saying about victories, is making sure that you establish habits of accomplishments. So that'll solidify those beliefs that you can and will do something. So again, self-talk. Let's see. My wife said, I've learned to pay close attention to the chatter in my head. It affects you one way or another. Your thoughts can feed courage or fear. Your thoughts are very powerful. She didn't say very, but I did. Your thoughts are definitely very powerful. And again, the self-talk that you have, really start unpacking that. Really start unpacking the self-talk that you have, and what does it do? Does your self-talk motivate you, or does it demotivate you? Does it make you want to quit, or does it make you want to keep going? So that's something that you have to think about. And again, just be mindful. Be mindful of what you do on a daily basis. Be mindful of how you communicate with yourself, because that'll reflect on how you communicate with others, and it'll also reflect on how you live your life. So be very mindful of that for sure. What's up, Larry? What's up, Steve? Dr. Steve. Let's see. So I'm brand new to him. I'm like a sponge right now. Rachel and my wife are talking about Jim Quick, I think is his name. Can I get a for radio edit version? Yeah, I don't think there's a radio edit version of David Goggins. But you have to watch him when he's on like a national TV show. He does self-edit depending on where he is. But again, it's just one of those things that when you really start pushing yourself, you have to do what motivates you, what works for you. Because again, this is your self-talk. It's not really talk that you do for other people. It's something that you do for yourself. It's motivating yourself, pushing yourself to do and go beyond. And again, I'm going to say my favorite C word, community. Community can definitely help that. Accountability is definitely part of that. One of the things, I'm part of a variety of different groups. One of the groups I'm a part of is the design group, and they have accountability partners within the group. So different people have different goals and aspirations, so they have an accountability partner that they talk to. They just started that. I've been talking with the young guy for the past, we've been talking to each other, I guess, for the past month now. Just giving each other updates on what we're working on, making sure that, what we said we're going to do, we do. And for me, having a community is part of that accountability as well. So if there's something that you are trying to achieve or work on, definitely put it out in the community. Most of the people that watch Two Shy Guys are part of Coinda. Maybe find somebody within that group, find somebody within the Two Shy Guys group, find anybody, find somebody, your next door neighbor, relative, whoever. Find someone that you can be accountable to so that they can push you to go beyond. They can push you. They can tell you about the self-talk that you may be doing or habits that they notice. If you're within close proximity to somebody, then that's probably a better scenario for you because, online you really can't hear somebody's self-talk. But when you're in proximity to somebody, you definitely can because you'll see it in the reactions, whether it be good or bad. Excuse me. For example, like if you work with somebody, then if they mess up on something, you'll hear it, you'll know about it, and that way you can bring it to their attention because a lot of times we're so used to being around ourselves that we don't notice a lot of the habits that we have. So having somebody that you're accountable to is definitely productive, especially if it's somebody that you vibe with. That's why I'm always pushing community, because in a community is typically people that have the same or similar beliefs. They're similar enough to where you're in proximity to one another. So yeah. Anyway, there are no more questions or comments. I just wanted to give everybody a quick update. Two Shy Guys will probably be on tomorrow night. I'm not sure what time. I'm not sure what my schedule is for tomorrow, but Kevin and I said we would go on tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. I just wanted to be accountable, make sure that I came on for the week, make sure that I represented Two Shy Guys this week. So I just wanted to do that. Last year on Two Shy Guys, you gave the Dream Big Challenge, and my challenge was the Trinity Run here in Dallas. Oh, awesome! That's what's up, Rachel. Rachel ran the Trinity Run. She put it out there when I did the Dream Big Challenge, and she ran a race. Guess what, Rachel? I put it out there. I asked somebody to hold me accountable to running like a mini marathon or a 5K or something. Nobody held me accountable, so I didn't do it. But really, it was my own fault. I knew when I stopped pursuing my exercise goals. I knew when I did it, and nobody brought it up because I sure didn't bring it back up because I hate running. But I'm putting it out there. One of the challenges I've made for myself, especially after watching the brain video. If you haven't seen it, look down my timeline, and there's a video on brain health. One of the things he was talking about was weight gain and brain shrinkage. So that, and plus some of the things I promised on my wife, some of the things we've been talking about that we're going to start doing and implementing in home. I am going to start my physical activities as soon as I'll finish painting tonight. As soon as we get this house stuff taken care of, that's one of the things that's at the top of my list is health, fitness, because there's some goals that I have, some personal goals that I want to achieve. When I actually map all of those out, I'll put some of those out there in the community so you guys can hold me accountable. So anyway, definitely appreciate you guys. Rachel, I'm proud of you. I know you've been doing a lot of stuff over the past year, been, keeping my eye on you, seeing some of the stuff you've been posting. I know you've taken a big leap recently. And again, I just want to encourage you to keep moving forward, keep pressing, keep pounding the pavement, and keep being who you are. Everybody else, definitely appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you taking the time out just to listen to me. Appreciate your support for Two Shy Guys and a mic. Like I said, we're focused on some things. We're trying to get better production value. And so you will be seeing that in the upcoming weeks and months. So keep an eye out for everything we're doing. So anyway, God bless everybody. I appreciate you and I love you. Take care.